Hi, and welcome to the Crochet Junkie podcast. My name is Amber. If you're new to the podcast, thanks for checking me out. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for sticking around. Thank you to all my new and old subscribers. I have had quite a bit lately, I think due to a couple of podcasters mentioning me, and I'll get to that later. You can find me on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and Ravelry as Crochet Junkie. On Ravelry, I'm Crochet Junkie with the number 6. There is a Ravelry group, the Crochet Junkie podcast, and this podcast is about knitting, spinning, crocheting, all fiber-related arts. So I'll get right into it. Last week I talked about going to Stitches, and I did, and I have lots of awesome stuff to show y'all from that and to talk about. Here's my first, a new mug with little sheep. Isn't it cute? This is a handmade mug from a vendor that was at Stitches, and I love it. It is my new favorite. And I also got some more Einstein bagel coffee while I was in the city. I was on the highway and I saw an Einstein's and I exited, and Atrella says, "Are we there yet?" And I said, "No, but there's this coffee place and I love their coffee." So I bought 2 bags and a cup, not the mug, just a cup of coffee from there to take with me to Stitches. Atrella went with me, my 9-year-old daughter, and she actually learned to knit on the way there. And I'll get to more of that later too, because I have some stuff to show you of hers. Yeah, so we'll talk about finished objects first. As you can see, I'm wearing, my finished object is my Potter's shawl. And I finished it, I use the term finished it loosely. I finished it Friday night. I went to Stitches Saturday. I really wanted to wear it because I wanted to wear a crocheted item and a knit item to represent my love of both crafts. And so I really wanted to finish this. And my husband, love him, so thankful that I married him most days, if you know what that's like. I was stressing out about not being able to finish the repeats, the leaf repeats, because I had so much. I'm a slow knitter, which I've mentioned, probably because I'm new, which is fine. There's not a race to see how fast someone can finish a project. But these leaf repeats take me about 15 to 20 minutes to do one repeat, and it was going to be like another 4 to 5 hours of knitting, and I still probably wasn't going to be done, and having to stay up really late to be able to do that. And I've mentioned before that I'm not so great at distance driving. I get really tired, and I have to pull over and get out and walk around so I don't fall asleep in the car, like while driving. It's ridiculous. I did fine on Saturday, but I didn't want to stay up late. I wanted to be well rested. And my husband said, "Well, it's a shawl, right? Isn't it going to be like wrapped around your neck? Can't you just finish it, like cast off, and not do the repeats, because that part's going to be under your neck?" I love him. And so it's technically not finished, but it is, because I just cast off, put some beads there, and it's finished. It's totally finished. I did block it, but it probably could use another block. I didn't really wash it. I just sort of sprayed it and then pinned it out on the towel on the rug and blocked it overnight and then wore it. So it's kind of rolling up. It needs to be blocked. But I love it. These actually gave me a heck of a time. The pattern, if you're new and you don't know, is called the Potter's shawl. And that's what it looks like. And she included a chart for the lace repeats at the bottom. It's an applied border. And the pattern has a chart. And it's a relatively simple chart, but having never knit from a chart before, it was like I wasn't reading it right or something, because I had to do this and then I ripped it out. And then I did it again and I ripped it out. And then I said, okay, let me really make sure I'm paying attention, and I wasn't. I was doing some of the stitches wrong. I was doing a slip slip K as a knit two together and vice versa. It was wrong. So I wrote it out. I have little notes where I actually wrote out what to do on each row and used this instead of her chart, which really helped me immensely. I mean, after I got that done, I flew by and then had the repeats done, and they actually look like leaves, and I was really excited. And another thing that probably took me a million years is the beads. So I did beads every other even row. So the way the pattern works out, these repeats are 12 rows, and so I did a bead like on 2, 6, and 10. Row 2, 6, and 10, I put beads on the inside and on the outside, which I just thought it added a nice little, and they're kind of bluish green like the yarn, just a nice little element to the shawl. And I'm not really a shawl person. I've never made one. This is my first ever. But now that I have, I'm thinking I need more because I really like it. And it just adds a little bit of extra warmth when you're wearing a t-shirt or something. I've talked about how cold-natured I am all the time. And yeah, it's just pretty. I really like it. And I got lots of compliments on it, lots of compliments on the beading. Some of my leaves, some of my lace repeats, I've messed up 3 of them. So 3 of the leaves are kind of like a little wonky, but I didn't want to rip back. I knit all day Friday. I knit on this all day, from the moment I woke up until the moment I went to bed, trying to finish it in time to wear to stitches. And it was worth it because I finished, but I was so sick of it. I was so sick of the beads. I was so sick of the entire project. I'm happy to be done. I love it. But yeah, I'm kind of bummed. I meant to get a shaw pin when I was at Stitches, and it completely slipped my mind. I saw a few really pretty ones, and I was going to go back and buy them, and then you know how it is. So, and do my little sip. I am entering this shaw into Mina of the Knitting Expats September knit along. She's hosting a knit along for anything that starts with the letter S. So you could do shawls, socks, sweaters, any pattern that begins with S. And I started this before, but she says that, you know, it doesn't have to, she's very loose with her knit alongs. And yeah, so overall, happy with this. One thing I will say, I used Knit Picks interchangeable size 5s. I would select lace needles next time because the addies are kind of blunt, and doing the leaves took me longer, I feel like, because of the blunt needles. I think that a sharper tip would have allowed me a little bit more speed in my knitting. So that's all for my finished objects. Just one thing. That's better than nothing, right? Something else I am working on for another knit along with the Love Sock Wool. Sarah at the Love Sock Wool podcast is hosting a September back to school sockathon or sock knit along. So you can do any socks that you want, just back to school socks. It doesn't even have to be any themed, just something that reminds you of going back to school, knits and socks. But she is doing the number 2 pencil socks, and she enabled me to also buy this yarn, and I love it. My 9-year-old, as soon as she saw it, had to have pencil socks. She's really excited about these, and she actually told everyone at Stitches, my mom's knitting me pencil socks. So I'm doing these 2 at a time on DPNs because I'm a magic loop failure, and I'm loving it. I love it so much. I haven't really had a lot of knit time. I have had a ton of knit time on this, but that's all. So that's why these aren't further along. I'll probably be done with these next week because the end of the knit along is the end of September and I need to finish these. So overall, I'm so happy. There's not one thing, there is one thing. I don't like these needles, but at Stitches I did pick up my favorite needles in my new sock knitting size. I've had some problems with tension and my gauge and stuff on the thinner sock yarn. With Patton's Croy, I'm a 2.5 or a 3 millimeter needle user, but on the thinner sock yarn, that's a little too gappy. So I went down to zeros, but that's too tight, and so a 1.5 is what I like, and that gives me a good fabric. So I'm really happy with these. I'm happy with the pattern. I think it looks like a pencil. It's so exciting. It's so fun to knit. It's just, yeah, I love them. I think that a couple of other podcasters, I know that Laura from the Fawn Knits, and maybe one or two others, is doing these as well. So it's fun to see everybody knitting along and having fun with their pencil socks. Something else I am working on still is my Neuro sweater. And I haven't done a ton on it. I showed you the front and the back the last episode, and so far I have half of a sleeve done. So I'm dragging my feet on this, on finishing it. It's just not something that I love knitting right now, and so any crochet project I'm just sort of like, eh. I am using my Furls crochet hook, size, I think this is my size H. I love these hooks. If it is in your budget to get one, or you want to ask for one for your Christmas present, these are the most amazing hooks I've ever used in my life, and I wish I had one in every single size. Yeah, overall I think that this sweater will get a lot of use when it's finished. I'm just not in love with crocheting right now. And I bought this yarn in this pattern book last year for my birthday, and so hopefully I'll be finished. I know I will be finished by November. I have the front and the back done. All I have to do is this sleeve and the other sleeve and then seam it together. That won't take me any time at all if I could just have the discipline to finish it. Need the discipline. Because I was sick of working on the Neuro sweater, I said I wasn't going to cast this on until I was done with the Neuro sweater. But I was tired of it, and I finished my shawl, so I felt since I had one thing off the needles, I could add something else. And this is for my local knit night groups knit along, which is Macintosh Craft in Fort Worth. They're doing the Rosemont knit along. And you can join in too on their Ravelry page. They have a group. And this is what I've got done so far. I'm knitting it in pieces and seaming it together. And one of the reasons why I'm doing that is because this book has excellent home and away, everyday knits for everyday adventures. This book has some tips about sweater construction specifically, and it talks about set-in sleeves versus raglan versus seamed and seamless, and it really goes down to your yarn choice on whether you want to knit something seamed or seamless. And I'm still not sure about my needle size on this. I did get gauge. I did do a gauge swatch, but it still seems kind of gappy to me, even after sizing down a needle. I'm not using the yarn the pattern asked for because I had this in my stash, and I need to use some stash. I've had this yarn since last year too, and it's some that I got at Webb's, and it is Glisten collage. The fiber content is 70% alpaca, 25% silk, and 5% stellene, and it's all sparkly. It's going to be perfect for Christmas. This is not really showing up that well. It's super green. It's really jolly, holly jolly green. It's called evergreen. I think that's the colorway. I was dragging my feet about starting this. I wasn't sure about using this yarn just because I kind of fell out of love with it. But after knitting just this little bit, I love it. I really do love it. I started out knitting the smallest size, and it seemed really small. And I kind of like my sweaters to have a little bit of wiggle room. Not oversized per se, but not negative ease either. And the pattern doesn't call for negative ease. It says positive ease. 1.5 inches of positive ease is what it's supposed to have. And doing it in the smallest size, it just looked really small. So I decided to go with one size up. And now I need more yarn, of course. I need to order, I think, 3 more skeins. I actually didn't have enough yardage to do the smallest size either. I was going to have to order 1 skein, but now I have to order 3 because I'm doing the next size. But I don't know. I think that I'm going to go down a needle size, go down to 7s, because these are a size 8. And it just seems gappy to me. I don't know though. See, you can see it there. So, if you have any tips on that, or if you think that that will be fine, let me know. I'm going to take it to my knit group, so maybe they'll have something to say about it. Overall, I'm excited about this. I realized going through my closet, I have a sweater almost this exact shade that I've had for a million years. It's store-bought knit sweater. So yeah, this is going to replace that, which is kind of exciting. That one's got a few holes and stuff in it, and I was so unsure about this green color, and I couldn't believe that I bought evergreen color yarn, but it's my color. I have lots of green in my closet. I just do. And I have another sweater quantity of green yarn in my stash. It's insane. Green is my color. So yeah, that's my knit along for my knit group, the Rose Month. I'm not sure how long that's going on. They just started it in September, so I want to say probably 2 months. That seems about right for a sweater. They do a knit night at my local yarn store, but they also do an afternoon tea, and I've been wanting to go to that. I haven't had a chance just yet, but I think that I'm going to go, and they're also doing a knit along. They're doing the farmhouse shawl, and like I said, I'm not a shawl person per se, but after making this, I kind of wanted a big, cozy, wrap up in the morning shawl. And listen to this. Farmhouse is the sort of cozy shawl you hang on a peg by the kitchen door so you can wrap it around your shoulders on early mornings as you head out to gather eggs from the hens. Or on chilly evenings as you sit on the porch watching the sunset over the fields. Does that not sound perfect for me, y'all? Seriously. And it is knit with Shelter, which I've been wanting to try, and I actually got this at Stitches this weekend from the Hill County Weavers booth, which is a yarn shop down in Austin. And this is 100% American grown wool, grown in Wyoming. Shelter is in woolen spun yarn made from the fiber of Colombian sheep grown in the American West. This yarn has been meticulously crafted to suit the needs of the passionate hand knitter. We'll hope you'll love working with it as much as we do. And what's so funny about this yarn is I mentioned wanting to knit my husband the Slade cardigan. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. That's the sweater that we agreed that he wanted, is the Slade, which is knit with this. And I nearly got him the sweater quantities of this while I was there, and I didn't, because it's kind of rustic feeling. This is what the Slade is knit with, shelter. But I didn't think he was going to like it because he really likes soft yarn, and it's soft, but it's like a rustic feeling. It's very, I don't know, I can't think of another word other than rustic to describe it. It's not mixed. I think it's soft. I think it's soft. I think he's crazy. One of the things he said is, I don't get it, like, if you're going to get yarn that's not soft, why not just shop at Walmart? And I said, you're right, you don't get it, because this is not acrylic yarn, that's why. But yeah, so I'm going to knit it in this red. I was looking at the pattern page before I decided to knit this, and someone knit the shawl in this exact red color, and I just needed it. Even though I am already working on something in red, yeah, it's different. It's different enough, right? Which I don't think I told you what this is. The Neuro sweater is in Neuro yarn, color number 84, and it's silk mohair lamb's wool in number 84, which is red. Fitting, right? But yeah, so I am also going to knit along with Laura of the Fawn Knits podcast. She's doing a big cozy cowl knit along, and it's going on now through the November 15th, I want to say. And she is doing a knit along for anything, for any shawl that's heavier than a sport weight or heavier, I think. Go to her podcast group on Ravelry and see the specifics if you want to do that. I did. I wanted a big cozy cowl, or a big cozy shawl. So I am knitting along with her group and knitting along with my local yarn stores group, even though I don't think that anybody else is doing the shawl in the morning group. I think someone from the evening group told me that. But so I'm doing the bulk of the shawl with this, and then there's fringe on the bottom, and it calls for a contrasting color, which I'm going to do this. And these colorways are Long John is the red, and Wool Fox is the orangey color. So I just thought, I mean, that's perfect for fall. It's perfect for a big, cozy shawl. I'm pretty excited about it. And I think that it fits in well with Carlenergy, Made with Carlenergy. Her podcast, she's doing a local love knit along. So local is the yarn. It's made in the U.S. It's my local yarn store is doing a knit along. So I just, yeah, do all the knit alongs with all the podcasts, y'all. That's what I'm doing. So that is all my projects that I'm currently working on, I do believe. I meant to say my shawl is knit with Malabrigo. This was the African Violet, and this was Acro Isis colorway. Iris, Acro, Iris, I can't remember these colors. Aren't they pretty? Purple and green. Seems like a lot of people love purple and green. A lot of hand knitters and crocheters, yes, at Stitches, a lot of people mentioned how much they love purple and green. I did wear my festival dress. It's actually not called the festival dress, and that's what I called it all day at Stitches. It's called the Sundance dress. Sorry, people that were at Stitches that asked me the pattern. I lied to you. So I wore this, and people loved it. I had several people ask to take my picture. Several people wanted to know the pattern. Lots of people have never seen something so beautiful crocheted, they said. So it was just really nice to receive that much praise on something I made. My head, I kept telling Etrella that my head wasn't going to fit in the Jeep to get home because it was just nonstop compliments, which was incredible. And Etrella was wearing this, which I crocheted her. This is the chevron cardigan, which is a pattern on Ravelry, except I just didn't do the sleeves for her because she wanted a vest. So it's just an open cardigan thing, but you know, And people asked her if she made it, and she told them no, that her mom did. And this yarn is the Red Heart Boutique Unforgettable in colorway, I think it's called Sunrise. I can't remember. I think it's called Sunrise. And then of course my Neuro dress is Neuro yarn. The information's on my project page, I think. Lace weight. Took me a million years to make this. So, yeah. Atrella learned to knit on the way to Stitches. We were in the car driving, and I gave her, she was talking about wanting to learn anyway, here and there, all week long, hinting around about wanting to learn. And she thought that crocheting, or knitting would be easier to learn than crocheting. And so I gave her a project bag, and this project bag actually came from Andy of the Andre Sue Knits podcast. She and I did a swap, and she made me a little project bag, and I used it for a while. And when Atrella needed something, I decided to give it to her. And I put in a pair of needles, which are the Knit Picks. Actually didn't get them at Knit Picks, but I'm pretty sure you can get these at Knit Picks. The rainbow wood needles, just a pair of straight needles, size 9. And I also put in some yarn in here and 2 of my furl hooks. Just thinking somebody at Stitches could probably show her a thing or two. I'm not that great at teaching. People think that I am when I show them things, but I don't think that I'm a good teacher. However, I showed Atrella how to cast on while we were in the car on the way to Stitches. And I had this yarn in there with the needles and the hooks, and she made this pillow. She actually just knit a rectangle while walking around Stitches. She was knitting while walking around the convention, and people kept stopping her and saying, "Oh, you knit too? How long have you been knitting?" And she'd say, "Since this morning." And they were blown away. And I mean, look at it. Okay, it's kind of gappy, but I mean, look at it. It's amazing. It's amazing. On this side, it's even more gappy because she complained about that. She was like, "You can stick your finger in it." I said, "It's fine for your first project. Are you kidding me? This is incredible, incredible." And it's just a little pillow for her sister's doll. She gave it to her sister for her doll. Isn't that sweet? And she said, "I can just make another one. I'm not happy with that one." Spoken like a true crafter. Yeah, but she started this that morning and finished that night. And just knit, 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 knit all day long, and people were blown away. And she got some enhancements to her little stash. She wanted some tins for her little buttons and needles and stuff, so she picked this one, little panda, and the little fish. Little fish. And she found a stitch marker on the ground. They did stitch marker swaps. I didn't know that. I would have taken like way more stitch markers, so I could have done stitch marker swaps all day. I only had a few in the project bag that I took, and so I did a few, but she found one on the ground and then traded with one girl and then just kept trading. And a couple of people gave her some for free because they knew she was new to knitting. I'm not going to show you all the ones she got, just my favorite one. So she got this one. She loves sea turtles, and blue is her favorite color. So this little turquoise turtle, which, oh my gosh, it's so cute. And then this little flower. And she got this one. Ah! It fell. Sorry for screaming, y'all. It's a heart with a little pearl. I love it. I love it. I told her I'm going to have to borrow some of her stitch markers. But isn't that incredible, y'all? She's a knitter. And another lady gave her 2 little minis because they knew she was new. they presented her with a bowl of minis and said, why don't you take two since you're new to knitting? It was so interesting to see because, of course, the bowl is filled with different colors, and she picked two that I wouldn't have picked. So it's so rewarding to see her get into the craft and to see what draws her eye and what intrigues her. And so these are the colors that she chose. The blue is obvious. I knew she was, as soon as I saw the bowl, I knew she was going to pick this one. And then that one is incredible. It's sparkly and brown, and like it's got just a little bit of purple. It's really pretty. I was impressed. And then she took her knitting to school yesterday. She started this on Sunday and then took it to school and knit this yesterday. And she's unhappy because she's got like a little wonky place right there, but I'm like, dude, you have no idea how well you're doing, okay? She knit this, y'all. She's 9 and she's knitting, and I'm so excited. I took her up to my craft stash, and let her pick some yarn, and she picked this and some other kind of bulky rainbow yarn. And this is just Lily Sugar and Cream cotton in bright green, obviously. And she also got a knitting, or a little pin that's a little girl knitting, or a button. She was pretty happy with her selections of the day. And I'm just blown away that she picked up knitting so quickly and that she's liking it so much. I really hope that she sticks with it and continues to enjoy it, because that's just really nice. So, my stash enhancement for stitches. Let me take a sip. I bet it's cold. Not yet. I got quite a lot. I got a little tin from this amazing maker. Let me start by saying, I told y'all last week that I had a plan, that I wanted to go to Stitches and not have buyer's remorse, because yarn, you know, and I did really well. My plan was to walk in, walk around, look at all of the vendors, maybe write down if I saw something that I really wanted. I had 2 projects planned that I wanted to buy yarn for. I didn't get yarn for my husband's sweater, but I did get yarn for the farmhouse shawl. Yeah, so the first booth that we went to was yarn, and then the second one we went to, it was these tins. And Etrella saw that little fish tin that I showed you. That's all she talked about the rest of the day. She wanted to go back to that booth and buy her tin. But I told her we had to look at all the booths before we decided what we wanted to buy, because I didn't want her to see a better tin somewhere else from another vendor and want that one more. I've done that before. I've bought all my stuff and then found greater stuff later, and it's just always kind of a disappointment to have that buyer's remorse. So we did really good. We went around to all the booths, looked at all the stuff. It was kind of exhausting. At one point, Etrella said she was hungry, and I said already, and I looked at my watch and realized, yes, already, because it wasn't already. Just time went like so quickly in there. It was insane. And so we sat down for lunch. I kind of thought about what I wanted, what I had seen so far, wrote down some notes, and then one of our lunch mates actually is doing a thesis on knitting and actually marketing, really. It's marketing and nonprofit, and I wish I would have wrote down more of what she said so I could explain it to you better. And I don't even have her information right here so you could look it up. I'll get it for next time because her patterns publish on October 1st, and I'll look at her information that she gave me and be better able to tell you about this next time, because she was incredible. It was a mother and a daughter sitting across from us, and the daughter's the one that did, you know, is obviously graduating and doing her thesis on nonprofits and knitting. And it was just like looking at Etrella and I possibly in 12 to 15 years. It was kind of nice. But my first purchase was actually stitch markers from this vendor, the Vintage Rose. Let me see if that's gonna, there we go. A knitting boutique, the Vintage Rose. And you can find her on vintageroseloves.com or on Ravelry as Vintage Rose. Her booth was the most beautiful booth in the entire convention. I mean, her attention to detail is untouchable. She had incredible items, stitch markers and knitting related jewelry, craft related jewelry. It was just, you know, all of her stuff was on little boxes and crates and little trays that were painted, and incredible booth. Blown away by the showmanship of that particular booth. Not only that, her items are really well made and incredible. So I got this bracelet, which has a little spinning wheel and like a little yarn ball. And she actually makes earrings that have yarn balls on them too. Of course, I got a green yarn ball. She had different colors. And I got this charm bracelet, which actually doubles, can you see, as a stitch marker bracelet. So you can put your lobster clasps, progress keepers or stitch markers on here. So I got the jingle bells because I love jingle bells, and teeth, True Blood fan here, and a mushroom. I actually got the mushroom for Etrella because she wanted it, but it doesn't fit in her stitch marker tin, so she let me put it on my bracelet. And the clasp is incredibly beautiful. My arm is hurting trying to hold it like that. Let me scoot closer. Oh, there we go. So it's a heart with little flowers. It's just so well made, and I love that sound. She presented everything so lovely. Like the boxes came in the bracelets came in little boxes with tissue paper when she packaged them, and she put everything like a little gift in this. Isn't that nice? No other vendor did this, y'all. And her stitch markers were packaged. I took them off and put them in my thing. But basically, they had a little wire, a silver wire, and they were hanging so you could look at them, and they were packaged like that. Which is just the small things. It's just the little things, and having, you know, backs, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Everything is so beautiful. And her stitch markers are incredible. They're so well made. She had nerd sets. I wanted all of them. I wanted every single set she had. But I'm just going to show you. I got one set and then a few of the loose ones she had there and back again. Which, if you know me, you know I love The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. It's just, I love the story. And so, a pipe, an eagle, a sword, a hobbit house, feet, a dragon, a wizard, Gandalf, a book, and an axe, and a bow and arrow. So that's the There and Back Again set. I was blown away. She also had Harry Potter, a traveling set, you know, baking set, Doctor Who, Alice in Wonderland. You need to go to her shop and check her out because you can get awesome jewelry. She had the stitch marker necklaces too, but I'm not too keen on necklaces. Stitch marker jewelry and amazing stitch markers. I mean, I could have blown my entire budget in that booth alone. And these, I told you I didn't have very many stitch markers to swap, but these are the ones that I did get, because I did have a few. So a Texas, and there we go. And it's got it says Texas, and then it's got a few of the bigger cities marked, like Fort Worth, Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio, and El Paso. And it's got a little longhorn on it, and you can see the Alamo too. It's so cute. I love Texas, so that just makes me happy. And then this one's really cool. It says made with love, which everything I make is made with love, so yes, it's fitting. It's a heart. This one's one of my favorites. This vendor had some amazing yarn, but it was a little bit out of my budget, so I just kind of fondled it and looked at it. And he took our picture, mine and Atrella's picture. He asked if he could take our picture, and he said he'd email it. And I've been checking my email, and I haven't got it. I'm hoping I still get it. But he had stitch marker swap going on, and I got this Buddha head. I love religion. I've mentioned that before. I'm not religious, but I love studying religion. And so this was just really cool. Love it. Little turquoise Buddha head. So, and I got this tin. I was mentioning our little thing, and then I got off track. So Atrella talked about the tins that she wanted the entire time we were there. I wouldn't let her go back. When we finally went back, this wasn't even originally the tin I was going to get. I was going to get some other one that I didn't even like as much. You see what waiting gets you guys? So yeah, this one is totally me. Vintage owls, just retro, brown and orange. Love it. And it fits my needle, my darning needle, because my other tin, the little heart one that I've showed y'all that was storing my beads last week, doesn't fit my darning needle. It's too short to fit my darning needle. So this was nice, a nice addition. I didn't get any soap. Soap was on my list to get. Didn't get any soap. I'm going to have to get some. I wanted to get little samples so I could get a bunch of different scents, and all that I saw for sale were like big bottles. I didn't want to do that. I got some of my favorite needles in the size 1. I don't know why I like these needles so much. They're cheap and kind of bends, but they're my favorite. They're my favorite. They're super sharp, pointy tips. Knitter's Pride Cubics. Those are my soft needles, y'all. And I got 2 sets, so I could do 2 at a time. And what else? What else? Some yarn. I already showed y'all my shelter yarn that I got for my shawl. I also got this fiber for y'all. I said that I was doing a spindle giveaway, and all you have to do is be a member of the group, go to the group, and tell me what bugs you. I'm going to close the draw next Monday and announce the winners on my next podcast next Tuesday. So you get this fiber, and it's about, these each are about 1.5 ounces, I'm thinking. And it's Falkland, beautiful little colors, little bat, or little fiber for you to spin. So enter if you want. I'd love to give this away to somebody that's interested in learning to spin or is already a spinner and you just want to add to your collection. Just come and join. I just want more interactive people on the group. I'd like to hear more from my viewers and get to know y'all better. So I also had to get one of the most exciting things about going to Stitches was being able to see this particular vendor, Mustache Sheep. I've been watching her podcast. Stacy from Mustache has a podcast. I think it's called Mustache Sheep Podcast, but it might just be under her name, which is Stacy Dawson. And she is an incredible indie dyer. I mean, incredible. Every single thing that she shows on her podcast, my eyes pop out of my head and I need it. And she is always sold out. Anytime she lists stuff, her site crashes because people want her yarn so bad. So I had to go check out her booth and get some yarn. I am a little disappointed. One of the colorways that I wanted was sold out by the time I went to her booth. I purposefully waited to go to her booth until way after lunchtime because I knew that I wanted so much of her yarn. And then one of the colorways was sold out. So that's what I get for waiting, maybe. It was the sorting hat colorway, and it's all of the house colors into one self-striping sock yarn, which I thought was just really cool to make for Atrilla because she's reading the Harry Potter books currently. She's on the 4th one. She's almost done with the 4th one, I think, so almost on to the 5th one. And I just thought it would have been fun to knit her a pair of Hermione's everyday socks in the sorting hat yarn, right? Oh well. Oh well, I did get this. This is her koi pond. And what's so cool about her yarn, this is OCD. So 2 perfectly matched half skeins twisted together. So you're guaranteed to get a pair of matching socks, like if that's your thing. I don't particularly care about my socks matching, but it's kind of cool when they do, when the stripes line up. And this is her 80/20 superwash merino nylon, just perfect sock, self-striping sock. The colors are just very, very koi pond. Did I say that was the colorway, koi pond? I love it. I'm excited. This yarn actually is one of the first yarns that I saw on her podcast, and then as soon as I saw that, I went to Knit Night and saw someone knitting it. And I was insanely jealous. I wanted that yarn so bad, and I had to wait so long to get it, and it's going to be so worth it. I mean, it doesn't look like anything too exciting right there. It's called the Dark Side EPV, and it's, again, her perfect sock, 80/20 superwash merino nylon, and it's the OCD. 2 perfectly matched socks will come from this, and it's gray with rainbows in between. Yeah, y'all, I'm so excited about this. And the other 2 that I got, I have yet to determine the fate of. I really love them for me, but I am entered into 2 different swaps right now. The Yarn Snob is doing a Halloween swap, and I got 2 of these teeth stitch markers so I could send one in my Halloween swap package, and I thought about maybe sending this too. I bought it for me, but then once I got it home and saw how much sock yarn I had, I thought about maybe spreading the love a little bit. This is the Brazen Stitchery, which I've talked about before. She's a local dyer. She lives in Burleson and works at one of the yarn shops in Fort Worth. And I've bought her yarn from the local yarn shop, the District 12 yarn, and another colorway too, if you remember me talking about that. But this is called Witchy Woman. It's green and purple and black, self-striping, and it is 80/20 superwash merino nylon, Witchy Woman self-striping sock yarn. So I don't know, should I keep it or should I do it in my Halloween exchange? I don't know. Maybe I can get something else for the Halloween exchange. We'll see. We'll see. I have some time on that. And then my other swap that I'm doing is the You and Me swap, and I learned about it through Instagram. A lot of you, I think, are doing it too, and I thought about doing this for my You and Me swap because my swap partner loves sock yarn like me, and I don't know, I just thought this would be fun, but I bought it for me, and it's hedgehog fibers sock yarn, and it is 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. I had to check the fiber content on this like 12 times because it feels like cashmere. I mean, it is so soft, and the colors are totally blown out. It's super saturated. It's it's gorgeous, and this is just making it look not as gorgeous as it is. Super saturated, amazing, amazing yarn. The colorway is Villain. Villain. You can't see that. There you go. Because I'm a villain at heart. I always identify with the bad guys on movies. My 4-year-old actually told me a couple of years ago, "Mom, you look like Loki." Yeah, I'm the bad guy. That's okay with me. But so yeah, I haven't decided on the fate of this. I'd really like to make myself a pair of socks, but I know that it would probably be an excellent thing to swap too, because I know that I would love to get something as luxurious as this. It's just incredible. I know I said that, but seriously, I love it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens to this. I think that's it, y'all. I went over everything. I did. Thanks for joining me. I hope y'all enjoyed watching. I hope to hear from more of you guys. Come say hello on the swap. Follow me on Instagram. Just, yeah. Thanks. Bye.